many women in India do you think are a part of the informal sector? That means they're not part of any government monitored TaxNet job registered businesses because they're so tiny. Their businesses are so small, and their work so informal. Okay, I see some responses coming. Anybody in chat, and if you would like to unmute yourself. 70%, okay. We have one answer. Approximately 80%. Any more? So let me just share my screen. And yes, can you all see my screen? If you could just thumbs up. Yeah, great. So yeah, it's still more than 80% women in India, which are a part. The number somewhere is conflicted between 80 to 90% because it is so hard to monitor it. And every day as we speak, these women continue to be a part of the informal economy. Women who largely in trade groups, we see them as domestic workers, street vendors, agricultural workers, home-based workers, and construction workers. And Seva was one of the first unions in India to even give recognition to this self-employed women working out of their houses and elsewhere. Right now, we have 1.8 million members across 18 states, and this is my short introduction to Seva for all of you. But before I move on, I want to ask that what kind of work do you imagine when I say that grassroots women are running businesses? What first comes to your mind? Again, if you could use the chat. Maybe, Shefali, if you could say that to me because I can't see the chat. Or whoever is the admin along with me.
We have farm, we have labor, daily wages.
Yeah. When a woman is sitting at her house and doing some work.
Farming, dairy.
All different kinds of businesses where we imagine women. And when Seva started their work in Ahmedabad, the first kind of business that they started working with these, because it was in Ahmedabad, so textile garment scraps and chindi workers called as chindi. So women sitting out of their houses who would stitch all of these scraps of cloth into quilts. And one of the biggest problems was that they would not get fair wages and not get money on time either. So Seva started working along with them on talking to middlemen and negotiating for fees. And after months of struggle, they came to a conclusion, raised the minimum wage. But after a few months, again, there was a conflict. And that's when Seva and the members realized and reflected that we need to take work in our own hands and set up our own production unit and a stitching center. And that was the birth of the first cooperative. And that is where we talk about from then to now in that journey. You can see these women who are home-based workers here in Delhi, also styling the linen saris made by Fulia weavers, Fulia West Bengal. From then to now in that journey, there are many artisan companies that have come up within Seva, promoted by them. There's a Ruab Seva. These are the products of Ruab. It has a turnover of 1.2 crores, multiple products, and they're expanding to 5 states, 990 shareholders. Kalakriti, which is of block printing artists in Ahmedabad, Kerala Reed Workers, which is of bamboo artists, Chicken Curry, which I believe a lot of people may have first heard of Seva because of that. Seva, when I ask people about Seva, generally they say, oh, we know Seva Chicken Curry, oh, we know that Seva in Gujarat, oh, we know Ila Bhatt. So Seva Chicken Curry really made a mark, I think. Hansiba and 10 more such district level cooperatives. And this is the journey that we want to share with you. And for us, the first thought that Seva realized is that collectives give women the strength to promote businesses together. As one of the members said, that we are poor, but we are so many. And this happened in the journey when in one of the Mohalla meetings, all the women were sitting together and talking about the problems that they have in just getting basic loans. And one of the women got up and said, why can't we just make our own bank? And this is back in 1970s, a domestic worker telling, why can't I just make my own bank? And she said, but we are poor, but so many, so we can make a bank. And they went to the registrar of cooperatives in Gujarat. And from then to now, this is Seva Bank, the first women initiative in banking, even before Muhammad Yunus and the whole microfinance movement and Grameen Bank came into play. Right here in Ahmedabad, it started. And now they have loans outstanding worth 148 crores, a deposit base of 244 crores. When there was demonetization, all the women took out their savings from under their mattresses and from everywhere where they had hidden it in the house. And they had a deposit base of about 1,000 crores at that point of time. This is just one of the views. I remember you enter and you just see women everywhere, running machines, operating machines, taking loans, depositing their savings. And the first time, though, when they went in and said that we want to register our own business, the first thing that they said is कि आपको तो पढ़ना लिखना भी नहीं आता है, बैंक कैसे चलाओगे? You don't even know how to read and write. How are you going to run a bank? And they challenged them, and in one room overnight, Elaben shut in 11 women, and they learned how to sign their own names. And they went and they threw that back on his face and said, we can learn how to sign our names, we can learn how to do anything. And this is the success of the first bank, that women can also run their own institutions. These are not small businesses, these are large scale businesses which are expanding, which is recognized in Business World this year as one of the 50 businesses to look for. And when we're talking about promoting women enterprises, why this focus on women? Because when women go to run businesses, they're first asked, but how will you run a business? We cannot see that, whether it's a real question or it's a question mark on their face with their expressions. But this is the question that even now, Seva, over so many years after registering businesses, every time in every district when they go to register a new business, they face the same problem. There are many such financial institutions that came up inspired after Seva Bank. There is an in-house affordable housing loans unit called Seva Grihin. There is a business correspondency unit which ensures that we set up customer points in rural areas of Uttarakhand and Punjab where there are no other banks present, and ensure, especially during COVID, they went from door to door and ensured that people get money in their houses. Many credit cooperatives modeled completely after the model of Seva Bank, which is another idea of scaling a business, that you don't need to make the same company grow vertically in terms of profit and members, but you can copy paste the business model in different places based on their local context. And we have so many credit cooperatives in Delhi, Indore, Ujjain, Chhapra, everywhere. And each one of them, whether promoted in 2010 or in 1970, every time they've gone to the registrar of cooperatives to say we want our own business, was asked, but how will you run a business? Again and again. When Seva Bank started giving loans to a lot of people, what they also realized is that there were a lot of people who were not returning back loans on time, or they were defaulting on their loans. And they had a conversation with the members to understand what's happening. Why are you not returning the loans? And they realized most of the women would have some or the other form of health problem in their house, whether it's a family member or themselves, lose out some days of work and income, and because of that would fall back in this trap of poverty and would not have any accessible healthcare services to go for. And that really inspired the formation of the first healthcare cooperative within Seva, called Lok Swasthya Mandali, which at the time in 1980s, in 1990, was the first in Ahmedabad to start trading generic medicines. And later that inspired the model of Jan Aushadhi stores outside of Seva 2, which the government is really promoting everywhere now. Now they give low-cost medicines. Because of them, it's a standard practice in all of Gujarat to discount all medicines by 10 or 20%, a very, very unique feature, in fact, to chemist shops in Ahmedabad and in Gujarat generally. And they also have their Ayurvedic medicines production. But it's a whole, I think one of the reflections over there was that when grassroots run institutions come into play, they also design products and services which are more suited to the community because they understand the problems that they face. And just like healthcare, there was a whole social security lens, and insurance products were introduced, childcare centers were introduced, which were run not for a woman to go and take care for the child of a rich family, but for within a community, a slum community, to provide childcare services to that daily wage worker who would either stop going out of the house and working for a few years, or whose children, elder children, would take care of their younger siblings, and that's why they couldn't go to schools. So a whole cycle of net like that stopped because there are 13 childcare centers in Ahmedabad in the slum communities themselves, small cute spaces which I've been to, and 20 kids from the age groups of 0 to 6 can be there. And it's been very interesting to see that 100% of these children then go on to enroll in schools. They have much better nutritional outcomes. They also are better performers in school because early childhood age group of early education in the ages of 0 to 6 years really allows for much incremental returns later in life too. And we're really looking to expand these models elsewhere. Now I want to shift the focus a little from urban to rural. And if we go to rural areas, most women are in agriculture. And these women in agriculture are doing different things. But what I love about this picture is that traditionally, when you'll see pictures of women in agriculture, you'll see them bending down, working with the crops, doing a lot of back-breaking work. But you never see them sitting on top of a machine, cultivating the field over there, really owning it. And this is Meera Ben from Bihar, Munger district, Kharagpur block, who came in. And one of the most interesting things again about a women entrepreneurship journey is the whole recognition of self as a worker. And I see this at play myself when I go on the fields. It's a journey of 6 months to get a woman to say कि मेरा नाम मीरा है और मैं कृषि का काम करती हूँ. This is what I do to recognize. Otherwise, when you go and ask them the first time, what do you do? She's like, मैं तो कुछ नहीं करती हूँ. I don't do anything. I wake up in the morning, I cook food for my kids, and then I do prayer, and then I cook food for the whole family, and then I work in the fields for 6 hours, but मैं कुछ नहीं करती, even after all of that. So to get a woman to just recognize the fact that I am a worker is a big part of the journey itself. And over here, especially with the agricultural enterprises that Seva has worked with, there are two more points that I would like to reinforce, which is the outlook towards sustainability that they get, especially with the whole farm laws debate that is going on right now, and Amit Shah just declaring that they're going to do it. The farm laws will have a lot of opportunities, but one of the risks that we see, and one of the reasons why we promote community-run enterprises, is because they will not let the land be misused. So crops are always thought of in such a way. Traditional agricultural practices will always encourage crops in such a way that allows for the long to be used for many, many years, and not to do intensive overcropping in one particular place. And that's the dialogue that we have in this farmer producer company in Bihar, or in the organic spices entity in Uttarakhand, or in this tribal district Tapi in Gujarat. So the outlook towards sustainability is an inherent part of it, and that is something that community institutions can preserve. But a third thing which I want to talk about is agricultural incomes are very precarious, and almost every woman, nobody wants their child to become an agricultural worker. Everybody wants to leave agriculture and escape outside. And as they're doing that, they're looking for alternative sources of income. So everywhere we go, people ask us that how can we earn more income and not be dependent just on agriculture, because income is unpredictable. And that's where we started working on alternative livelihoods. Can women learn how to drive? Can women run homestays? These are women of agriculture farmers in Uttarakhand itself who have now started hosting guests of their houses. And this is also possible again because we discussed with them, understood their problem, and started building their capacity on using mobile phones, TripAdvisor, Booking.com, things which they were not aware of. So not only educated people in the state of Uttarakhand can get in leverage opportunities of tourism through Booking.com, but even they can. And we are slowly building their capacity to actually operate those platforms by themselves. We've had 10 guests so far. We are very excited about how this goes on. But before saying more, I would really like for you to hear from some of the members themselves. So I'm going to share a video, and if you can hear the voices, please raise your thumbs. Yeah.
मेरा नाम सुमन है, मैं जहांगीरपुरी में रहती हूँ और मैं ई रिक्शा चलाती हूँ। मुझे 1.5 साल हो गया अपने सेवा से जुड़े हुए। उन्हीं की तरफ से मेरी ये गाड़ी निकली है और आज उन्हीं सेवा वालों की तरफ से मैं ये गाड़ी चला रही हूँ।
নমস্কার, আমার নাম রূপালী মণ্ডল। আমি আমার বাড়ি ফুলিয়াতে। আমি সেবার একজন সদস্য আগ্রবান্দিতে। আমি তাঁতের কাজ করি, তাঁত বুনি। 7 বছর ধরে তাঁত বুনছি, 5 বছর থেকে ব্যবসাটা করছি আমি।
मेरा नाम आयशा मार्फतिया है और मैं गुजरात राज्य मेहसाणा जिला कड़ी तालुका से आई हूँ। मैं पेच एप्लिक, हैंडवर्क, सिलाई, क्रोशियो, ज्वेलरी मेकिंग मास्टर ट्रेनर है और मैं सेवा से अलग अलग जगह पे ट्रेनिंग देने जाती हूँ।
मेरा नाम आरिफा खान है और मैं जयपुर में शास्त्री नगर राजीव नगर में रहती हूँ। मैं अभी पढ़ाई कर रही हूँ, उसके साथ साथ मैं लाख का काम भी कर लेती हूँ और सिलाई भी करती हूँ। और मुझे सेवा राजस्थान से जुड़े हुए 4 साल हो चुके हैं। वैसे एक तो ना केमिकल वाला होता है, तो वो केमिकल वाला तो हम करते नहीं है, हम वो वाला करते हैं, वो ओरिजिनल लाख होती है ना, गरम लाख, वो तो हम उस पे काम करते हैं। तो उस पे मैं बेंगल्स वगैरह और ना अपनी साड़ी के पिन वगैरह होते हैं, वो ये सब बना लेती हूँ मैं खुद।
যে আমার এই জিনিসটা ভালো লাগছে, এই ছবিটা, সেই ছবিটা দিয়ে আমি একটু এঁকে নিলাম, এঁকে নিয়ে সেটার মধ্যে আমি সুতো ঘুরিয়ে ঘুরিয়ে করলাম। ডিজাইনটা বেশ সুন্দর হয়, ওটা জামদানি सिस्टम আর কি যেটা।
12 साल की थी जब हमारे यहाँ पे कड़ी खुददार हस्तकला कोऑपरेटिव चलती थी। उसमें जो प्रेसिडेंट थे उनका नाम भी आयशा बेन था। तो उन्होंने हमारी मेंबरशिप ली और फिर हम लोगों को ट्रेनिंग देने बुलाते थे मेंबरशिप की या फिर लीडरशिप हो गए तो पार्टिसिपेट करते थे। कुशन देते थे, टेबल मैट देते थे, फिर दुपट्टा, ड्रेस, इस तरह करके हम लोग जो गलीचा होता है ना वहां तक का मैंने काम किया, सीखा है।
गाड़ी चलाने का तो मुझे शुरू से शौक था। मतलब जब मैं मम्मी के थी तब वहाँ गाड़ियां थी, तो स्कूटी बाइक वगैरह मेरे भाई हम लोगों ने मुझे चलाना सिखाया था। तो इतना मुझे डर नहीं लगा। जब यहाँ से ट्रेनिंग वगैरह दी तो मैं बेझिझक होकर मैंने कहा जब मैं वो गाड़ी चला सकती हूँ ये भी चला सकती हूँ। और मेरे को मतलब ये है कि मैं जरूरी नहीं है कि पूरा कंटिन्यू ड्यूटी की तरह मुझे सुबह जाना है शाम को ही आना है। इसमें मेरे बच्चों के साथ कोई परेशानी है, कोई दुख तकलीफ है तो मैं अपने घर पर बच्चों के साथ टाइम बिता सकती हूँ, या कोई परेशानी तो वापसी में अपने घर आ सकती हूँ।
I'll pause here, and the reason I shared this video with everybody was uh, because when we talk about again women's entrepreneurship and why this focus on just women's entrepreneurship, a lot of people come to me and they feel a little exhausted with the focus on women and empowerment and gender equality. It seems like everybody has the opportunity, but it's because they have very real barriers which others don't possibly. The very first being just a mindset. Can a woman be allowed to step out of her house and do the work? It's the job of the male in the house to earn the money, and why would the woman go out and earn money? And we come across this every day. Or for the woman herself who feels I cannot do this, or it's not right for me to do this. Um, the second factor is the mobility linked to this, that do I have the scooter in the house which allows me to do it? A lot of people who come with us to look for opportunities, they're not successful because they have to walk for hours because they don't have the money to buy a bike or a scooty or something else, and they don't know how to ride it. And others get the income. Or all of our banking institutions which have women as agents, they struggle with recovery because men in the family buy all mobility assets first and they get it later. And the third is care work, which I believe all of you must also face in their house. That there is this additional mental load of care work for your house and for your family, for your children, which you deal with every day and have this double shift of work. More and more, the norms are changing, but there are lots of people still for whom the norms have not changed, where everybody is equally participating with both of those things. So these are the real barriers to women's entrepreneurship and why we focus on it. And inspired by all of that is why we started the enterprise support system in Seva. Seva, in fact, has been doing this work for decades. This is something that I personally have started over there. This is a snapshot of some 4 enterprises that I work with right now, and there are 3 more that we have added recently. And we have invested the $7.5 million with support of Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and the US government initiative, USAID. And our intention mostly is to support capacity building efforts over here. So when I talked about the barriers, now I'm talking about how all of us can play a role in actually supporting more women to step out and become a part of businesses. And this is where come in the focus of enablers over here, which is just continuous trainings, because for so many decades, or centuries even. Women are not used to being business owners, and it requires a lot of mindset transformation that how can I, as a worker, also become an entrepreneur and start thinking about owning a business. So there's continuous training and capacity building that we provide, and a very real idea about the time that it will take to create a successful model. It's not 1 year, it's not a nice startup story about a youngster who's come in. We take 10 years to reach any form of success. And it's okay, because at the end of it, that success stays and takes people holistically out of poverty. And that's the holistic approach that I want to talk about. That when you attach with women to run businesses, you just can't say, I will give you a loan and that's enough. No, I have to go and help you convince your husband also that I should be given a loan, that you can take that 50,000 burden, that it's okay for her to step out. There are many women who tell us that once they stepped out of the house, their brother-in-law would follow them around for 10 days to see whether she was doing something wrong or was it right. So unless you attach with her life completely, you can't change the reality with which she's working. And these are the three key enablers that I've seen in our work when any of us attach with any institution to work. This one last, in the words of Ilavan Bain herself, and there's a minute that I want to spend here.
First and foremost, we need to recognize that poverty is violence. It is violence perpetuated with the consent of society. A society that is silent or looks the other way in the face of poverty, it is giving consent to exploitation, injustice, and war. Poverty strips away a person's dignity, humanity. It corrodes the human spirit. There is no justification for poverty in India.
And I think this is my last thought. What I started off with is, again, women's entrepreneurship and what is the change that a woman faces when she actually starts earning some form of income. And that, I think, is the biggest reason why I continue to do this work, why a lot of us continue to engage in this work, is the first change that she faces is the respect for her own self, that I can also earn my income. And this feeling of financial independence that you get, that I can choose for my own life. I'm not dependent on own self. If I want, I can pay for my child's education. And it's also the reason a lot of them come to us and say that people in the community now respect me. They come and say कि अरे वो दीदी आई है, उन्होंने ये वाला काम चालू किया है, उसने पहले जो आँख उठा के देखते थे, who would question you, now I actually respect you. So the respect that you feel for your own self and everyone else gets in, and this is possibly the reason that I also continue to gain my energy. I have also seen my mother struggle with all of these thoughts herself and feel that dependence financially. And I feel that in my own personal story, and I see that in all the women's lives around me. And that is what inspires me to keep working every time I do. And this is why I encourage you all to actually support some women's entrepreneurship initiatives. I'll stop here for all questions. And Shefali, in the beginning, introduced me with one set of parents, but I actually have two sets of parents on this call. It's not just one, which are also your fellow Rotarians right over here. Yeah.
Thank you, Nitya. If anybody has any questions. Not only one Seva, we require thousands of movements like this in India to change the whole Indian perspective. And it was an excellent talk and excellent work which is done, and I think continue it, and wherever possible in Rotary we will try to associate with you in your Seva and all these moments. Thank you.
I think Pinakin Bhai has raised hand. Yes, Pinakin Bhai.
Pinakin Bhai.
Okay. Nitya, I wanted to ask you a question.
Yes.
Nowadays, in the urban scenario, I understand that in your village scenario, there are a lot of hurdles to the women entrepreneurs. But in our higher social level, higher middle class, is there any difference between the women entrepreneur and men entrepreneur?
I think it's all a matter of the mindset of the house that you're born in, irrespective of the economic condition or the social condition, really. Are they open to you working or not? Are they conducive to you stepping out or not? So you may be poor, you may be rich, but if the people that you are with don't support your work, then it's the same. Yes, there is no change across the orders. I do think norms are changing. When I speak to leaders of Seva who've been there for 5 decades, they say they've seen a change in many, many things. More women are getting educated. A lot of them, especially I think middle class, you would see a lot of them have gone till the class 12 or possibly in college education. But the one thing that nobody has seen any shift in is the norm towards childcare. Because that doesn't shift, that still blocks your ability to be an entrepreneur. You have to take a break from work for some years, which others may not have to. And that's something that hasn't changed.
May I ask a second question, President?
I also see
Yeah.
one more question, which was, what were the hardest moments in the journey? Um, uh, I think it's every day, especially last year during COVID. A lot of my team members were doing research and calling people up every day and asking, what's the condition of your house? And a lot of women will answer saying that I haven't gotten enough money to buy food today, and I'm going to sleep on an empty stomach, or my children are going to sleep on an empty stomach. Some women lost money. So it's just when you start actually engaging with the depth of a person's life, it's too taxing emotionally. It's not just about the physical labor that you have to do. There's a lot of emotional labor also that goes in it. That part is very difficult.
President, may I ask one more question?
Yes.
Yes, please. Yeah.
Yeah. Nitya,
Mm.
how can we support your movement of encouraging Seva and its members?
I think my intention was not just to say support Seva. My intention was that whatever close to your house, uh, and there are lots of beautiful work happening in Maharashtra. Unfortunately, we don't do work in Maharashtra yet. But how can you support us? The best way to support anybody is give us your time. Come and actually work over there. And when I say time, I don't say come for 10 days and work with us. I mean, you can do that also. Just take an exposure visit. Come and see what the life of the women is like, hear from them. If you have more time to offer, then join with any of the enterprises and actually mentor their work so that they can become successful. Or find a local seva, like I know Mandeshi in Maharashtra does great work, and any other initiative which you could actually patiently give support to, any of those.
Deposit some decent amount in Seva Bank so that it may help indirectly the Seva members.
But only poor women can take membership in our financial institutions. Being a cooperative, we only shareholders can give deposits. So not like that, but yes, if you're interested in funding any of the initiatives, sure, or giving like a loan, any of these things also work. How many
Thank
videos?
you. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
I would like to say something. See, in our Rotary, we also have got a division where we have got a corpus, Mahila Madad Yojana. We have done a lot of things in past, so probably we can renew it. The organization which is active in Maharashtra or in Mumbai, if you give the address and telephone number, probably we can get connected with them, and we can certainly help them. Our own Rotary Club of Bombay West itself has been active. Anil Ganu, past president, has done a lot of work in this direction, and we have got a good corpus also. So please pass on the information.
For sure.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. That's actually great to hear that such a corpus exists. And as any Bombay-based organizations or Maharashtra-based organizations, I'll share all details with you.
Sure. Thanks.
I also saw one more question. How many widows are taking training? I haven't taken that data lens ever, honestly, but a lot of them come in. Like if I just think of one of our board members in the farmer producer company in Bihar, she's a widow and she joined hands with us, and she's working. So I think how we approach work is we go in one mohalla and we just start chatting with the women over there, irrespective of who they are in their family situation. But I'll think about it and come back to you. Is there an age group Seva works with? Um, we have a youth division which starts working with children as early as 12 years. So young girls from 12 to 18 or even 25, they're mostly a part of youth groups, trainings and skill development classes, apprenticeship classes. And beyond that, there's just no age bar. Anybody. In fact, we've seen in Gujarat, where Seva has been alive for 5 decades now, that it's almost like a family thing. Third generation members are there now because somebody's life changed. So their daughter and daughter-in-law joined in Seva, and then their kids joined in Seva, either as staff members and workers who are now actively growing the movement.
Nitya, I saw Kaun Banega Karodpati last week, I think, or about 10 days back. And a lady from Gujarat had come, Tapi Ben. And the way Amitabh Bachchan took her interview and she participated in the program, really they help these ladies and the organization very well. So we should also think in that terms.
I fully agree with you, and I'm going to check that episode too on what happens over there.
Thank you.
Have to come to limelight, so that the people will agree to the work what you are doing. You are doing great work.
Thank you. I think the biggest reason we keep chatting all the time is you don't come across as many role models as a young girl of women leaders. I mean, they're there, but how many people in their own locality can see, oh, she ran a business, like he ran a business is very common, but she owns a business is a little less common. And I would really like for it to be so much more common. That's the fun of the work. Yeah. Who's my role model? I mean, so many of them. It's my sister in Bombay. It's my mother, it's my mossy, it's my people who I work with. So many, I've been just very, very blessed with role models when I have worked. And I think that's something I did not lack. I think seeing strong women around me, and probably that's what makes me today who I am. Yeah.
Thank you, Nitya.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for your time.
Thank you.
Request Hema to have secretary's announcements.
First, vote of thanks by Kavita, Dr. Kavita. Hello. Hi.
Yeah, Kavita.
Yeah, it has been a great pleasure. Am I seen? I think one second. It's been a great pleasure to hear you, Nitya. Fantastic work you are doing, because empowering women, I think, has been happening in Maharashtra for more than a century. We still haven't reached our goal, and we are still struggling. As you rightly put, women say that, what do you do? No, I don't do anything. That's the answer that we normally get from any woman, whatever may be the strata of society. And it amazes me because these ladies are running a house, raising 2 good children to become good citizens, but they don't feel that they are doing some great service to society. That is the mindset that we all have, and I'm very happy you are changing it. Means you are really at it about changing the mindset. I'll just sort of narrate one incident. I visited Bunker Roy's Barefoot College. I think all of us, some of you might have visited. And there I saw a lady who was illiterate. She said, I don't know how to read and write. But she is running a community radio station there. She knows which button to press for what. And she speaks about experiences, her own experiences, other people's experiences, and educates women. It's amazing because she says, I know what I am doing and what I need to do for the society. So that is empowerment, I feel, and the kind of confidence that these women inculcate or develop in themselves because of the work that they do, because they step out of their homes, or even sitting at home. I think Lijjat Papad is a very good example, wherein ladies were sitting at home but earning money. So I'm very sure that you all, through Seva, of course, Seva is a great organization, but all the same, I think we need we still need to do a lot. And you, a young woman, along with other youngsters, are doing such a great service to nation. I'm very, very proud of you. Thank you so much for enlightening us, opening insights into all this. Thanks a lot on behalf of Rotary Club of Bombay and our president, Dr. Manoj. Proposal views, your work, as well as sparing so much of time for us. Thank you very much.